Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Powell Press. My name is State Senator Bobby Powell, Jr., representing the northern parts of Palm Beach County, Senate District 30. Before we get started this week, there was a tragedy that happened that involved another school shooting down in Broward County at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. And it was an incident where 17 people lost their lives. And we'd like to just take a moment to acknowledge this tragedy and to ensure you, our constituents, that we here in Tallahassee, as a member of the legislature, as a member of the Senate, will continue to fight to make sure that an incident like this does not happen again. Next week, we will be talking about gun control and we will be talking about mental illness because we cannot afford to lose any more lives in this manner. This week, our team met with several constituents and stakeholders from our district. We had an opportunity to meet with individuals who wanted to talk about affordable housing and the fact that the Senate has $322 million situated for affordable housing in the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, those funds situated by the Sadowski Act, and want to make sure that the Senate holds steady in that amount as we move forward. We also met with the National Coalition of 100 Black Women who are up here in the Capitol this week to advocate, to persuade, and to talk about leadership as we discuss things that we could help them with in the 6 chapters that go throughout the state of Florida. In terms of legislation this week, we were able to move forward with the bill, Senate Bill 982. And Senate Bill 982 deals with care for retired law enforcement dogs. What that bill does, as I discussed previously, is it takes $1,500 annually for a law enforcement dog who has been put out of service or who has come out of service, and it allows this for anybody who's an individual who's registered for veterinarian care to receive this annual $1,500 to reimburse them for the veterinarian care for these dogs. That bill passed through the Appropriations Committee this week. We've still got a few bills that are moving through the process. We've got about 2 weeks left after this, but one of the bills that we still have moving through the process is mental illness training for law enforcement officers. What that bill does is it takes the mental illness component for the 40 hours of training that law enforcement officers have to get, and it applies mental illness training to that. This allows the law enforcement officer to identify if someone is suffering from a mental illness when they're in the line of duty, to make sure that we save lives of the officers and the individuals as they move forward and do what they do, which is protect and serve. Another bill that we're moving forward with this week is les pendens. That will be on the calendar for next week. And les pendens is a required notice that is recorded in the official records when litigation is filed that may transfer the title of a property in a foreclosure action. It's the common form that this les pendens suit is, les pendens action is available. This week, the House moved forward with House Bill 7055. 7055 is a bill that many of my Democratic colleagues did not favor, and I think some of the same things will happen when it comes over to the Senate, or when versions of that bill are put here in the Senate. It ties FEFP funding to this entire bill. What it does is it allows for unions, teachers unions that don't meet the 50% threshold to be dissolved. It also allows an individual or student who feels that he or she has been bullied to be able to take a voucher program and go to a private school or go to a school that they feel is more suited for them. And this bill also has provisions in there that are instituted for additional funding for private schools, which has been looked at unfavorably by many members of the Democratic Party. And we'll see how that comes over or transfers here in the Senate. I can tell you that many of our Senate colleagues are not in favor of that piece of legislation as a whole, and we'll be looking at that in further detail as we move forward with session. On a brighter note, this week, as I talked about last week, we celebrated FSU and FAMU Day at the Capitol. This week, we celebrated the University of Florida, another one of our great institutions here in the state of Florida, and there were many people walking throughout the Capitol advocating and sharing, wearing blue and orange to celebrate the University of Florida. Those things took place here on week 6 of the 2018 legislative session. I'm excited to continue to bring you this information. Sometimes we have to bring unfortunate information as we did at the beginning of this video package, but I want to make sure that we keep our constituents throughout the state of Florida and in Senate District 30 informed. I'm looking forward to coming to you again next week to bring you a recap of week 7 of the legislative session. My name is Bobby Powell Jr., State Senate for District 30.